Yeah. You were ruthless too. You got rid of me. Carry on. Let's
go.
At
the moment, though, the one thing he's got to look forward to is taking Japan to another Rugby World Cup. 26 days away from the opener between New Zealand and France. But South Africa have released their squad. And it really is the curious case of the Springboks. 33 players and 3 major ones that have been left out of Jacques Nienaber's team. No Handré Pollard, no Lukhanyo Am and no Lud Diaga. All 3 of these players are currently injured, but there's 9 players named as standby players, which include Am and Pollard, who will travel to England with the team, to Twickenham, Jeff.
So we've found out...
You study, right? Like you're a bit of a...
Well, I think this is important because we're going over there.
But I don't understand why you'd take 9 people. Why wouldn't you? If Pollard's going to recover, just name him in your side.
So what they can do, and so just so you're aware that these squads aren't official squads until they arrive in France the week of the tournament.
So why do you name them?
Well, I think it's so you are comfortable, so you can train as a squad, you can prepare, but they're still in a position where things can change. And the most interesting thing he said is, we believe that both will have the potential to be fit and ready to go by the Scotland game. That's talking about Handré Pollard and Lukhanyo Am. So
the opening test.
The opening game. So they're in recovery mode, but clearly he thinks they're going to be fit and available. I'm anticipating this squad's going to be very different when it arrives in France.
Why don't you name them? If we've named Brodie Retallick, who is currently injured, why do you not name these 2? Is it a game?
What sort of game is it?
What's your conspiracy theory, JK?
I just think you're trying to play. If you're trying to play a mind game, you need to look at your
It's not a very good one because you've almost given away what your intentions probably are. The fact you name 4 halfbacks, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I think if you look at, like when you look at injuries, and this is, you cross your fingers for all the players that don't get injured. But Pollard is a huge, huge guy for them, I believe. Yeah. I don't think they're the same rugby team without him. And I think that they're
the same. Yeah, I think he's the same.
Exactly.
World-class players.
I think they're both players, but I think Pollard because of his position, right? I think for me, you would wait as long as you can. The same with Retallick. Outstanding. You wait for those guys. They've been around long enough. They can come straight back into it. So.
Look, I've said for a long time, I think a lot of the World Cup success is down to the way Handré Pollard controls their team and the way that they play the game. He takes it to the line, he's aggressive, he kicks well, he's good in the air defensively, really, really strong. All the things and characteristics they have across their team. And he's vastly experienced and delivers in big moments. So I look at them and you anticipate they're going to be part of it. I'm not surprised that they're playing these sorts of games.
What's he got? He's got a calf or something, isn't he?
He's been out for 8 weeks already.
Yeah, and they're saying he'll be ready.
And he's training.
So he'll be in that squad.
So they just get rid of one of the halfbacks?
The halfback probably already knows.
4 of them. Yeah. 4 halfbacks and 2 first fives have been named in that squad. That is what is interesting. As for the All Blacks, they've brought an extra player into their 33-man squad. 3 players will go to the UK, but Josh Lord has been added in place of their hooker, George Bell.
Who unfortunately has picked up a niggle.
Injury.
But clearly they want some cover in the locking position. They're taking players over like Brad Weber, very similar, the fact that they know they've got a contest in front of them. Actually, the Springboks are playing 2 games, so they're covering a lot of players. I'd be interested to see the combination we put together here. I'm not surprised because we had Lord. Yeah. Now you didn't, but Mills and I had Lord in the wider squad. So
I had him in my squad. What are you talking about?
Well, you did. You hadn't selected him, but you agreed to commit.
The
to our
team's
squad
already been selected, and they're still arguing about these selections.
When Retallick went down injured, I said, Lord goes.
Yeah, and he is going. He's getting on a plane to go.
But I was surprised when they named the players to go and he wasn't named.
Yeah.
I felt that was interesting.
So why now has he been added? He was added after the initial 3.
I have no idea. Possibly they think that Brodie might take a little bit longer, get him over there, get him into the line-outs, make sure he knows all the systems. Then if he comes home, well, they just float around in the UK, wouldn't you? Most of these guys, there'd be a team floating around the UK.
They don't come back and play NPC?
We want to keep them. We want to keep them fresh. You want to keep them close. They'll probably go to Germany with the squad to prepare as well before they head to France. But there's a number of things that could happen in that Test match at Twickenham that could change the landscape because you just don't know. It's a contact sport. It's a contact game. So having those few extra players, I think, gives us a good indication of where they're at.
Who do you play?
Bit of everyone. I'll be interested in the fact, is it an official Test match? Is it one of those ones where you might have a wider squad? Because ultimately, let's remember what this Test match is. It's preparing for Rugby World Cup. That's what you're trying to do. But I'll be fascinated.
Is it international rules? Otherwise, you just get everyone off at half-time.
Good thing is we've got the CEO, Mark Robertson, here. He can probably
ask him.
Yeah, we'll ask him.
Okay.
Or he's going to start feverishly getting on his phone right now and texting someone as he sits over there watching the show. So I'm looking forward to that, which will be great.
Yeah, the All Blacks, remember their opening game is against France, who have just wrapped up a 2-match friendly series against Scotland. Is there any such thing as friendlies heading into the Rugby World Cup? Because the test this morning, Jeff, ran superbly by Antoine Dupont, who has to be the world's best player right now. How do you stop that guy?
Yeah, I think when you look at what's happened over the last couple of weekends, last weekend it was the others played. This weekend, most of the squads, the top guys went out there, and France, for about a 20-minute period, looked amazing. Yeah. But I was almost as impressed by Scotland, because it would have been quite easy for them to drift off this test match. They kept playing, and Finn Russell is world class. They have a world class first five. Scotland are dangerous. We know the pool they're going to be in, but I think what we saw, that they're capable of in this game, and we've talked about it already, JK, this is a side that are going to give the Springboks and Ireland some trouble in their pool.
Finn Russell is a free spirit. I think he's one of those players that you actually can't play too organised for him, but all those around him just need to be ready. He's got real X factor. Scotland are a real interesting squad at the moment. I think they've done a great job. They put us under pressure last year in November. I think they're going to be. That's an interesting pool, that one. French. I think the French. If you can't shut Dupont down. And the interesting thing, he'll run early, so he puts the defence under pressure early, and so the defence, especially around the rucks, start waiting for him. Once they start waiting, he gets out to that second defender, Goldie, and there's all sorts of people running off him.
He is electric. His vision, his ability to look left and right and to make good decisions, and he's creative, and the defence stops because he is so dangerous. He created a couple of overlaps with ease this morning. Intermac was really good at 10. They were awesome. He's so good that his ability to actually kick the air out of the ball. This is one of the most bizarre things I've seen in a test match, because I wondered what Scotland were doing in the counter-attack. Because it wasn't, I thought, is he called a mark? He's like 15 metres outside his 22.
Have you ever seen that before?
I've seen, not like that, not mid-game, like mid-kick. So obviously, on impact, it's exploded.
Wow.
I think the really interesting thing about the French and the Irish attack is they do use their nines as part of the attack. So you see Gibson Park, you see Dupont, they actually accelerate out, and they're accelerating out on an interesting angle. So they're not going forward, they're going across, but there's things happening off them, and that slows the defence line up. They're probably one of the, those two sides, you've got to shut those halves down quick.
Just on Scotland, do they make it out of their pool? And if so, who do they beat?
So I've got a random. I think there's going to be, they're going to end up on the same number of wins. I think there'll be an upset somewhere along the way. They could end up with 3 wins each out of their pool. That's quite possible. And all of a sudden, guess what? Bonus points. The margin of error and how close you get, or the number of tries. So 4 tries.
South Africa,
Ireland and Scotland.
Scotland.
There you go. I'll throw that one out there now.
So it comes down to bonus points. Does Scotland get out of the pool for you?